Welcome back to Unquiet You. Today, we're going to talk about the words I work with my clients on that keep us small. The reason I'm very big on words is I believe that when we speak a word out, we are actually giving that thought and belief internally to ourselves. Two of the words that I will talk about today that I'm get my clients to stop saying immediately are the word should and the word try. And we'll talk about the word should first. The word should, in my eyes, is nothing but saying that you could do something with shame. So when you say things like, I should be looking for a new job, or I should go after this business I've wanted to start, or I should work out, right? Like I should eat chicken over a donut. Like you're already shaming yourself into something that you could be doing. So that is a word I just think should be completely out of your vocabulary if you're trying to grow and learn, because we already allow society to put a lot of shame on what we do or what we don't do. So the last thing we need to do is add shame to the words we choose to say. Also, I believe if everything is a choice, saying things like, I could eat a donut or I could eat a chicken breast, like you're giving yourselves the option without any shame. It's literally two choices. You get to decide and you get to take ownership. When you say things like, I should start a business, you're going to automatically shut your brain down and give yourself 20 reasons why that business would never work. Versus being able to say, I could start a business. Here's all the things that could go right? Even if you want to make a list of what could go wrong, you're giving it equal opportunity because you're making it a choice. You get to decide what to do no matter what. So I'm asking you today to take the word shame out of your vocabulary and just watch as you say things throughout the day. I hear people all the time when they call for a consult, they'll start telling me all the things that they should be doing. Well, I should journal. I should watch better TV. I should stop watching TV. I should work out more. I should be nicer to my spouse. I should be nicer to my kids. Like they're already telling me all the things they feel horrible about themselves for. And when you change that to I could, it just gives you a little bit more hope that there's a possibility for each way. Like we could do whatever we wanted to do. If we should do something, then that's probably something we're not going to do because we've added so much shame around it and our brains automatically have 15 reasons why we shouldn't be doing it. If I pass a store that I really like and I say, oh, I shouldn't go there, then all my brain is going to want to do is come up with 10 reasons why I need to go spend money versus saying like, oh, I could choose not to go to that store today and just pass by it. I could choose to pass the donut store today. I could choose to not buy coffee and I could choose to make coffee at home versus saying, as I'm standing in Starbucks line, I should be making coffee at home. Right. And then you're automatically shaming yourself for just buying a cup of coffee. So I just think the word shame benefits no one. It will not benefit you in anything that you're doing. It won't benefit you when you're talking to other people. It's one of those words that will automatically trigger the insecurities that you have. And I see it in people all the time when they just take the word should out and say could, their entire attitude about the topic changes. So when I'm working with clients, we talk about the word should pretty early in the process. And we start correcting every time it's said. We'll stop and say like, well, what could you do instead? And every single time, their entire attitude changes, your mood changes, your belief changes, and you start to see possibilities over what you're doing wrong. Because as we grow and as we change, it's not about shaming ourselves into doing something better. It's not about, we're not going to shame ourselves into losing 10 pounds or getting to the gym or being a nice person or starting a new business, being a better mom. Like you're not going to shame yourself into it. Because my guess is if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already tried that route. And I used to do the same thing. I used to tell myself all the time, if I shamed myself enough, then I would feel bad enough to do it, right? To make the change. And in fact, it's the opposite effect. When you shame yourself enough, you just keep not doing what you want to do. And that's how I was with running. I always knew I wanted to run a half marathon and eventually a full marathon. But for years, I would be like, well, I should be running. I should be training. I should be doing all these things. And I think that year I ended up gaining 10 pounds, and I definitely binge watched a lot of TV because every time I would say I should be running, I would just find 10 reasons to sit on the couch or 10 reasons why I wasn't good enough to be running. Versus when I finally decided, like, I could run a 5K, I could run a half marathon, like I could do these things. Because I'm a human, I have 2 legs, I have the ability to run, like I could do this. And I started taking the shame out of it. And when I would only run 1 mile, it wasn't so much of, well, you should have ran 2. It's more like, oh, but you actually ran 1, and that means you could do 2. So I just ask that you shift that word. I promise it will make a difference immediately in the way you see yourself and the way you talk about yourself to others, because little key words like shame will trigger someone else's brain when they hear that to know that you automatically have shame around something. The other word is try. And try is not a bad word, except when someone tells me they're going to try and do something, I already know that they're half committed and they have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I think our brains are given the word try because it makes you feel like, well, if you fail, it's okay, right? Like if you just try it, just try something new. I hear people all the time like, well, I really want to try to post more on social media, or I'm going to try this photo, or I'm going to try this business. But it's giving themselves an out. So if it doesn't work, then they aren't quite a failure, right? Because they didn't fully commit. And what happens is if someone comes to me and they say, I want to try and go after my dreams, I want to try and set goals, I already know that that goal will never be achieved. If you're going to tell me that you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, what you're really telling me is you're already preparing to fail and not accomplish it. So you're never going to show up fully to make something happen. So instead, I always say, it's the old phrase that Nike uses, you just do it. You just commit to doing it. And if you fall flat on your face, you get back up and you do it again. It doesn't mean that it's going to work every time, but what it does mean is that you're willing to put the action in. You're willing to do the hard work. I have people who will say, well, I'm trying to journal, but then I get sidetracked on my phone. Well, you're not trying to journal, right? Like you didn't. You gave yourself a pen and a piece of paper and a phone with social media. And because the exact words you wanted didn't come out, you went to your phone on social media versus I'm going to do it. I'm going to journal for 5 minutes a day. You open your journal, your phone is put away, and you just start writing. Like you'll just do it. If you want to start a business, I always tell people I can tell when someone comes to me and they're like, I really want to start a business. I really want to try something new. I already know that they're preparing not to make it work. They're preparing to fail. They're preparing that when someone asks them why it didn't work or what they're doing, they still have an out. They still can say, well, it wasn't guaranteed. I didn't fully commit, right? And then if you're not going to fully commit, then why even do it? So I always tell, like, I think I remember growing up hearing the just do it. And I always thought it was really kind of catchy, but I was also like, that's just so bland and plain, right? But it's literally that easy. It is literally as easy as just committing to doing it until it works. Sometimes that means doing things and realizing once you've done them, that's not the path for you. Or maybe you need to change your tone, or maybe just shift the way you're doing it. Not everyone can do that morning routine I have. If you get up and you journal for 5 days and you're like, nothing's coming out and it's just not my thing, maybe try journaling at night, right? Like just do it. Do something different if it's not working. But take the word try out. It's kind of like when you talk to your kids. I think probably a lot of us parents have done this where they'll say like, can we go shopping this weekend? Or can you take me to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever? And you'll like, oh, I'll try to fit that in. You've already said it's not going to happen, right? But you don't want them to have a complete no. And you don't want to fully commit to say, yeah, we're doing it, because you want an out. You want one foot in to make them think that it's a possibility and to get them to get off your back about going. And you have one foot out to be able to say, when you don't go to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, shopping or whatever it is, you can say, well, I told you we would try. I didn't say we were going to do it. And that always flashes back to me, because I know I heard that as a kid. I'm sure I told my kids that before. Sometimes it's just what we say to give ourselves that moment of, I mean, it could be possible, right? But we are already not committed. So when my kids come to me and they'll say, oh, I'm going to try to make the soccer team, or I'm going to try and do this, or I'm going to try and do this, I always ask more questions, because they're half committed. So I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like, why don't you just go do it? Like, go give 100% at that tryout. And if you don't make it, that's okay. But at least you showed up 100% versus saying you were going to try and maybe you only showed up and gave 50%. If you use the word try, what I have found is, this happens to me personally, happens to all my clients, people I know. When you use the word try, you only show up 50%. So you're not even giving whatever this new thing is you're doing, all of you. You're not giving it all your power. This actually came up for my 14-year-old recently, who is a very, very good tennis player. She has a very hard coach who is very upfront with her. And he told her, he was like, you have to start doing these things. And she kept saying, well, I'm trying. It's just not working. It's not working. And finally he looked at her and he said, you're giving me 50% of your power. Like, you're not giving me 100%. And it finally clicked to her that she was using the word try to get out of being able to do something, that she wasn't fully committed. She wasn't running as hard as she could. She wasn't hitting as hard as she could. She wasn't doing the task he gave her to do at 100% of her power. Doesn't mean that every time she would hit at 100%, she would make it. But at least when she was doing it, she was giving 100% of her, and she was showing up and giving him what he was asking of her. So there's other words that we don't use in my coaching business, but for now, those are two of the biggest words I teach people to just get rid of. If you're going to tell me that you're going to do something, I want you to do it. I don't want you to try. I want you to do it 10 times if you have to. And every single time, I'll be there to cheer you on and to pick you up and to keep you going. When you tell me that you're going to try, I'm going to ask you a lot more questions. And until you get to the do it stage, or you decide not to do it. Sometimes people, I think as women especially, we will say that we'll try to make this event, or we'll try to do something for someone, like, because we don't want to let other people down. But what you're ultimately doing is letting yourself down, because then you have, say Saturday, you've told your friend, I'm going to try and make your event on Saturday. But then you get to Saturday and you have a whole day full of stuff, and you don't really feel like going to your event, but because you've said you try, you don't want them to be mad at you. So your brain is having all these thoughts versus saying, hey, you know what? I'd like to come to your event, but I'm not going to make it. I can't do it this weekend because I have a full day already. And then when your day on Saturday is done, there's no guilt. There's no feeling of like, are they going to be mad at me? None of that, because we flat out said we're not doing it, or we are going to do it. And this is always interesting for women with events. When you say, because I think men do this too, I think this is human nature a lot of times, but when we say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to come to your class, I'm going to do the hike with you, I'm going to go to the event, I'm going to come to dinner, like, you are more likely to show up, because once you've committed to doing something, it's in your brain. You already know on Saturday night you have dinner with your girlfriends at 7 p.m. or you've already committed to going to this event in 3 weeks. You're going to do it versus being like, well, I'll try. I did this recently where someone reached out to me about an event. And I said in the beginning, I was like, well, I'll try to come. And immediately after I got off the phone, I was like, okay, either commit or don't commit. So which one is it? And I decided that I was going to do the event. So I sent a message back and I was like, I will be there. here's the other person on my ticket. I'm going to show up. Here you go. And I committed and I showed up and I did it because I didn't give myself an out, and I didn't have to worry about my friend being upset with me if I didn't come or what was going to happen. I already knew that night I had plans. So I didn't let my day get away from me. And I also was able to show up like I said I was. I was keeping my word to myself, but I was keeping my word to other people. So just think about that when you're invited out or someone wants to make plans, right? Like, I know we jokingly say as women, like, yeah, plans a week ago sounded great, but now it's 8 p.m. and I really want to be home and be in bed or whatever. And sometimes that happens. But if you watch yourself, see how you responded to that invitation, more than likely you responded with a half do it, either a try or a maybe, versus just saying yes or no. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. So those are 2 words that are very, very powerful to get rid of, and options to change them. Instead of I should, I could not. Instead of saying try, you can say I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. Black and white. Very, very simple words. It's just like saying yes and no or go and stop. Those are the words that we want to start speaking out, because those are the words that our brain needs to hear us say for us to keep showing up the way that we want to show up. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here and for choosing to be a little louder, a little braver, and a whole lot more you. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared it with someone who needs it. Until next time, keep tuning in to the fire inside. Stay unquiet.